Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Of Virtue guitarist Damon Tate to the podcast. The new Of Virtue record, Omen, is out next Friday, September 29th on Rising Empire Records. Damon talks about transitioning from bass player to guitarist, how Of Virtue started to keep him out of trouble, connecting with the Rising Empire, evolving musically, using the band's platform to say something deeper, and more. Sinner was one of my favorite EPs last year, and Omen picks up right where that EP left off. Make sure you check it out. Also, make sure you're subscribed to As the Story Grows wherever you get your podcast. 2 episodes every week means interviews slip through the cracks. You can also join the mailing list to get behind-the-scenes information on certain interviews, music recommendations, and more. Patreon members get early access to every episode of the podcast, and you can come hang out on Discord where we've been talking about the latest Star Wars series Ahsoka and lots more. Links are in the show notes. Enjoy getting to hang out with Damon Tate from Of Virtue.
Send me to hell with all the cannibals. Cannibals. Wolf in sheep's clothing, hidden in the night, stalking my victims with.
As I was prepping for this interview, I went to iTunes, pulled it up, just went Of Virtue to put all your shit that I had on my phone, and I went, I saw the Heart Sounds album. And I was like,
shoot.
I was like, oh shit. Because like Sinner was on my list of favorite EPs from last year, like loved it. And I was just like, oh shit, that's the same band.
Yeah, it's
Come a long way.
hey, a wild turn of events can happen
Yeah.
every now and then.
Yeah. I love that record still. It was like listening back to it. I was like, oh, it still rocks. But it's like just funny because it's drastic from Sinner and Omen. Like,
Absolutely, but that's kind of the cool part is like, because every now and then, you listened to that more recently than I have.
yeah.
But it's still sick because I look on my wall and see all the stuff from that time period, and it's like, man, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice like time capsule of like this very specific time in life and like
Absolutely.
personal evolution and growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. You grew up in Lansing or in the Lansing area?
Yep, Lansing, Michigan.
Nice.
Wasn't born here, but basically raised. I grew up here. Well, I was born in Ypsilanti. Moved out here when I was young.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Michigan born and bred all your life.
yep.
Nice. What was growing up like?
Kind of quiet, but at the same time, it's like very. That was weird. Like kind of busy because at the same time, it's like it's just my mom and my brother and I. And she had to work a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, you just gotta find stuff to do. Play video games. Actually go outside, which is a foreign concept to some people nowadays.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like, I don't know whether you're my age or younger than me but like there's that time where it's like, yeah, we played outside, but like we still had PlayStation. I played Tony Hawk for way too many hours a day. Right?
Yeah. Tony
People
Hawk, Halo.
Yeah. People were like, video games didn't exist. And I'm like, no, they did. We spent a lot of time playing video games. Like,
Different kinds of games too.
yeah.
Mario Party, Smash Brothers.
Legend of Zelda all night, right? Like, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good times. What got you to music?
Oh man, I've always been into music. My mom, she got me, I think, as a mechanism to stay out of trouble when I was younger. It's like I was in music school. So I played violin.
Nice.
Then that just kind of turned into various instruments over the years, like dabbled in some piano, a little bit of saxophone. Eventually it turned out that it turned into the double bass. Then double bass turned into electric bass when I didn't want to carry that shit around anymore.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows, like when you're that kid in jazz band and you're trying to lug that big thing on the bus every day, and people are like, "What are you doing, man? What's going on, man?" I'm like, "Ugh, I'm so sick of this."
Yeah. Yeah. Was it just that progression of trying to figure out like what you enjoyed or what you were good at? Is like, I don't know, maybe saxophone will work out. It was just like, nope, that's not good. Or was it just a lack of enjoyment?
Some of it was lack of enjoyment because I mean I'm still a kid, so it's like you gotta find something that I don't know, speaks to you. B, I guess was fun to play, or at least I saw artists and things in that similar realm where it's like I grew up listening to like Stevie Wonder and like Motown and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's like in a weird way, it kind of like didn't feel like my music. Like it was still like my mom's music, and eventually, like I said, once we got into like the like rock and metal and punk and stuff like that, it was like I know she thought it was weird at first because she's like, "What's going on here?" I was like, "It's just it is what it is."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and really only honestly started playing guitar at the beginning of this band.
Oh, wow.
And just because I guess I was in bands with people at the time, and it's like, and it's not to throw anybody under the bus, but it's like I was a bass player, but nobody wrote any music.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't just write bass lines to nothing.
Yeah.
At that point, I just started playing guitar, and then I was like, well, I don't feel like teaching these parts to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Or did you like just teach yourself guitar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you had that background in music theory, like playing jazz band and like violin and sax. Was that easy for you to just kind of pick up and figure it out?
To a degree. It's still like chords and like playing cleanly was hard, but I did have a friend, which was kind of cool. He always told me, he's like, if you ever want to like get better and more proficient at your playing very quickly, either start playing acoustic or put your clean channel on and play all your riffs that way. So that way, you know, you learn how to play them cleanly. You can hear the notes, the separation, the technique, and then flip over and then start introducing, you know, your various gain stages. So it's like, do you play guitar at all by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. So like the original like 5150s, that was like the thing. So it's like, you know, you'd always want to turn it on to the red channel and just drip. And you're like, this sounds horrible, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you just got to start with the green, then lower the gain on the red channel. And then thankfully, when they started making like the 6505s and you could have that in between the blue stage, which is sick. I actually still model that on some of my Kemper's patches, but yeah, it's cool.
That's rad. That's rad. What got you into like rock or metal music?
Honestly, just seeing like my show my age a little bit, like MTV videos or, you know, things. I remember being at my grandma's house and they had satellite TV and there was a station called MTVX, if you can believe it or not. And it would show like Mudvayne videos, Slipknot, Korn, Deftones, Pantera, Seven Dust. And I was like, what the hell? What is this stuff? And like, I could only get it when I go down to her house, which was like, she lived in Pulaski, Illinois, which is at like the super southern, it's like at least probably 12 hours away from here. And I just remember coming home and like, I didn't have that stuff anymore. So I tried to find it. And like, eventually I just started like surfing the radio. Would find local radio stations that are playing, you know, it's playing, you know, whatever rock is going on at the time. And I was just like, yeah, I need all this. Whatever this is, Disturbed, Linkin Park, Godsmack. It didn't matter to me. Yeah, just, you know, then I would start going to, we had a local indoor skate park at the time, which was super sick because it's like you had like giant 30-foot roll-ins to foam pits, mini pipes, pipe transfers, and it's like you just go there on the weekends and skate, listen to fucking loud music, be a whole bunch of people your age. It was dope.
Nice. Nice. How does that transition into like metal and like metalcore or hardcore? Just a progression, or was there a friend who showed it to you? Like,
kind of both. I would say it was like we kind of had like an introduction of like when, and again, I'm gonna sound like an old person when I say this. When you're sitting at home and it's like I'm used to buying CDs, had big old CD books, and then you could start illegally downloading music at the time. And it was just like, wait, what? I don't have to go spend $20 on the one song I like.
yeah,
This is a wild concept. So one of my neighbors and I, we would just sit on my computer and just download everything, like from. So I had Aries, LimeWire, Kazaa, downloading shit, getting viruses every other week. You know, my mom yelling at me, "What's wrong? Why is the computer messed up again?" I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Why do you have 500 songs in a queue?" I was like,
tying up the phone line for days.
"Oh, dude, it was crazy." But yeah, one of my buddies, basically, because you would start looking at those like little tags, and you just started seeing names. You're like, "I don't know what this is. This isn't Breaking Benjamin," and it'd be like old Norma Jean or something like that. I was like, "Whoa." And like that's kind of how we started getting into like, or realized that there was like underground music, like underground music. Seeing like Zayo and like old Under Oath, and just like I think there was a local band around here. Ana Avea.
Oh yeah, they ruled. Yeah.
And like that was a Rising Falls, like that and I was like, what? What's going on here? And it's like it just felt like discovery mode was like on high. I was like, oh my god. Every day was something new. Yeah, that's kind of how I translated that. It's like you just at that time we're just clicking everything, just seeing what worked, what didn't work, and eventually it's like you kind of land into like Killswitch Engage and Unearth and Lamb of God and Nestle Dying and Soilwork. Like, crazy stuff.
Nice. Was there once you discovered that, was there a scene in Lansing that you could like go to shows and or like people putting on house shows or just like a good like VFW hall or club there?
Oh yeah, it was. There's actually a place out. It's called Oneida. It's a church in Grand Ledge, and they used to do. That's the first place where I found like local music.
Okay. And
I'm trying to remember the very first show that I went to. It might have been. Man, it was crazy. So, For the Fallen Dreams, when they existed as like a Christian straight edge local band. That's what I'm saying. That's how far back this is.
Yeah.
This band called Flesh and Blood Robot, which do you know who See You Next Tuesday is?
Yeah.
So See You Next Tuesday is like both of these bands existed concurrently. And then Fox took over the singing duties when they started kind of blowing up off of Parasite. But it was them, like FTFD, like a bunch of just random things. And I'm just like, what is going on here? People are just like moshing, but it's not like traditional moshing. It's like that, karate shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never seen this. Like I'm used to going to like concerts, like metal, like push pits and stage dive. Like, and I'm like, this is all a foreign concept, but I absolutely love it. Like, I'm with all of it.
Let's talk about Of Virtue. How'd the band get started?
The band got started to keep me out of trouble. Kind of didn't work at the time, but no, I mean, it's being honest though. It's like, I needed something to like focus like my nervous energy. Cause like at the time, especially, it's like I was playing in bands and you just doing the thing, like the little local circuit of playing with your friends, you would rehearse, or not really rehearse, but you'd practice, hang out, do whatever, play a couple shows. But back then, I did actually get into a lot of trouble. Had to sort some things out in my life where it's like, all right, you can keep going down this road and being a knucklehead and being stupid, or figure out a way to, occupy your time. And it just worked out to where during that kind of like, I'd say like kind of like a road, a path to sobriety or whatever it is, on the way, it's like, what's important to you. Music has always been the thing that's like, it didn't matter what it was. Like, I didn't want it to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And it just happened to work out where, hey, started actually like taking the craft seriously, and not just, again, going and getting drunk at somebody's house and making 3 riffs that will never get touched. Making, no plans or anything. It's just actually sit down, like I said, learn the craft a little bit. That's when I started playing guitar, because I was like, again, I'm tired of sitting around and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And Mike, he's played in some of my old bands too, and he kind of noticed and was like, all right, well, if you're going to start taking it seriously, because I want to as well, like serious. I was like, yeah. And we just kind of went from there, played shows, made, our EP, made Heart Sounds. Didn't know what we were doing. We just play, again, it's just a matter of the internet kind of existed in the sense of it was there for, it was there for MySpace. It was there for early Facebook. But even the people I knew that, I guess were more like business savvy or business minded, they're still kids. So it's like we were just online. We were just posting stuff. You're just posting songs willy nilly. No type of warning, reason. Just get it out there and see if people like it or enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to think about every now and then. Just like there was a time. There was no planning. It was lawless. You just go find a venue. Be like, put us on the show. We don't care if you pay us.
Right.
We don't even know if we have gear.
Yeah.
Somehow we'll make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. I always talk about there was that time where it's like band X is on tour and it's like there will be 5 openers and it's like, if we could just open for Zao or Childhood or whoever, like, let's get on the bill and just like see what happens. And we'll play 4 songs and who cares?
We're going to play 4 songs. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, this band's going to love me. And they're not even remotely close. No. Yeah. It's like, dude, Poison the Well doesn't care about your terrible band. Yeah. But at the same time, it was dope because it's like, hey, cool, we get to play with Misery Signals or Poison the Well or, whoever. Yeah. I mean, we've played some wonky shows over the years too. Like any artist you could possibly think of, like genre wise. You just do it to get the chops, man. And you never know. Yeah.
There seems to be on Heart Sounds, like in that early like era, a heavy like Misery Signals, Poison the Well influence on the band.
Oh yeah, them. Like I say, if it was like that kind of melodic hardcore or metalcore at that time, we were all about it, man.
Yeah,
all about it.
Yeah. Where'd the name come from?
More so just a matter of like we were sitting there trying to come up with a good one. Yeah. And it just, I don't know why, it just struck where we were like, well, what do you want the band to represent? Mm-hmm. What do you want the foundation of like any of the lyrics or the messaging to be? And it's like, bettering yourself or always striving to becoming the best version of yourself. And it's like, okay, well, how would you describe that in, 1 or 2 words? And it's like, virtue pops up and I was like, that's cool, but except for you just can't call yourself virtue. That's weird. And we thought, then it just graduated from there and it was like, made of virtue. And then it's like a virtue. And it was like, oh, that's sick. Nice. All right.
Nice. How'd you guys eventually land on Sharp Tone?
Sharp Tone. Ooh, let's see. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine here. Yeah. It was, I think it was like 2018, I want to say, because we had just made surrounded and torn apart and started releasing that stuff. And it was just one of those things, man, where we were just playing shows, we were touring. Somebody over there apparently liked what they heard, got in contact with our management at the time, and it kind of was just pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, we like what the band's doing. We want to work together, work something out. And at the time for us, it was like, oh shit, like this is crazy. This is a dream come true.
Yeah.
And it was definitely necessary at that specific time, just to help us gain a better understanding of how labels work, what goes on more behind the scenes, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Just some of the other mechanics that we probably don't normally think about. Because, again, we're still, even in like 2017, 2018, like when we're really, really starting to pick everything up, it's like we're just playing a lot of shows. Like, not that we ignored the business side, it's just a matter of like, this is the thing that we know, this is the thing that's going to get us kind of out there, and it was just going to be like hell or high water. And, Sharptone at the time was the right step to, A, put out that record, and then B, just kind of keep putting fuel on the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading an interview this morning you guys did with HM Magazine, like October 2020. At that time, you guys were working on like your fourth record for Sharptone at the time. What happened? Was that just a casualty of the pandemic, like ending that label relationship?
Yeah, it was just a matter of kind of moving in different directions. Like they were never, which this is cool for them. They were never like, you guys need to sound a certain way. We don't, they don't come in there and just start throwing things around when. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like we also could recognize like, hey, we're a smaller band. And at that specific time, like COVID, people don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And
just like anybody else, it's like, all right, unless you're like band A, B, or C, where, you're just raking in hand over fist cash for them, then priorities change. For us, like I said, it was one of those where it was beneficial for us to go somewhere else to I guess, not necessarily like development wise, but it's just a matter of like, again, reestablishing a relationship that with somebody or people that we could say, okay, we can grow alongside with these people, and there's not like a specific time frame. It doesn't need to be like ready now, because we were, like I said, we were doing this, but it's just a matter of, expectations, I guess. And we're still traveling, we're still doing everything else, but there was still a couple of other things that we also needed to, shore up on our end, and it just made sense to make a shift over to Arising, and the rest has kind of been history at that point.
You can't be my savior, I can't be your sinner, drown in holy water, calling me to my grave, calling me down. I'm doing time, 'cause you won't, but you left me high and dry.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Chad from For the Fallen Dreams. What leads a band from Michigan to a German record label?
Opportunity.
Yeah.
It's simply, we had a relationship with them for a while, and just like anything else, again, part of the lessons that we took from Sharptone were to look for very specific things that we, maybe A, we couldn't do ourselves, or B, just again, a matter of what they were talking about, where our, fan base was currently at the time. Like there's a lot of European fans. There's still a lot of US fans. There's a lot of fans everywhere, but it's like to be able to have somebody come up to you and say, okay, well, we don't really have any, United States based bands, and we want to branch out. We like what you guys are doing, and we want to get behind it, like fully get behind it. And it's like, that's cool to hear. It's cool to hear, you know, everybody wants to be wanted. Everybody wants to feel like, you know, the attention's on them, but it's not so much, you know, just a look at me thing. It's like they actually came with a plan of attack. Our management devised, like, you know, we learned from some of the mistakes that we made the last time and really, you know, turned this whole thing around on every front. And they've been awesome and kind of, again, growing and working with us every step of the way. So I can't really thank them too much more for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You guys have obviously evolved your sound and changed over the years. I mean, what defines you is very drastic from Heart Sounds and Salvation. And like, by the time you get to Sinner, like it's that next evolution in sound. What has led to that change and shift over time?
Just growing up, man.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a cop-out answer, but at the same time, it's like, you know, when Heart Sounds was written, it was 2010, 2009, 2010, 2011. It's like, I don't expect anybody to be the same person that they were when they were 18, 19, 20, you know, when they're 30 or whatever the case may be. It's like, if you are, either A, you're making a lot of money doing it, or B, I don't know. But that's kind of like the short answer. It's just like, over time, like, musical taste changes a little bit. Members also, because, you know, you've been around since Heart Sounds, so you'll know it's like it's a different singer.
Yeah.
We can't do what we were doing with, you know, Tyler, that, you know, with Nick. It just didn't work. Like, it's just a matter, and Nick or Tyler's not going to do the same thing that Nick did. It's we were talking about that the other day. I was just like, you know, when he first joined the band and he would have to play old songs, it's like, don't try to sound like him. Just put your spin on it for now until we can start writing music again that we can tailor, you know, specifically either A, to your vocal style, or B, we just tear down the studs and, you know, build it back up. But maybe we start noticing some other differences. Obviously, you know, you can hear it clear as day, even from just surrounded to, you know, Salvation. It's like Tyler's completely different stylistically. He can sing, scream, do everything. It unlocks me to be able to do more.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like, all right, there's more potential here than what, you know, I won't say we had in the past, but it's just like there's much more of a varied and variety to the sound. So let's just keep pushing in that direction and see where we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that part of the reason to your first release with the Rising to be an EP, to just kind of, is it like a reintroduction of the band and your sound?
Absolutely. It's a reintroduction. It's, you know, COVID, we were writing in a specific direction after What Defines You, but then we kind of looked at it and we're like, let's, you know, we thought we were there, but it's like, no, let's keep kind of going at it. And it's like, let's keep dig deeper lyrically, sonically. It's, you know, by this point we had so many like friends and people that we were, you know, having the fortune and pleasure of, you know, getting a hold of. It's like, let's just have some fun with it. Let's just see what we can do. And starting, you know, Hypocrite and I think Floating were the first two songs we wrote, but then Sinner was like the one where we're like, okay,
yeah,
we don't know where we're going. We don't know how we're going to get there. But whatever this is going to be the vessel that because it was one of those songs where none of us came into the studio with any pre-planned ideas. Just guitars, a couple laptops, started pulling up some plugins, and just people like, oh, this is a cool sound. Okay, don't know what we're going to do with it. What's the BPM? Just start dragging it, figuring it out. But that's kind of what it was. It was like a live jam session. And eventually, after, you know, shipping stuff back and forth for like probably like an hour or two, we had like the weirdest like foundation, like, which was, I think we actually made the verses first. Okay. In that song. So you're like, where's this going? And it's like, all right, well, let's just put in a big chorus and we'll kind of, you know, work from there. And then once that got tied in, we were like, oh, this is dope. Like, this is sick. Whatever this is, it just feels like hypnotic in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just can't fight it. Just go with the flow sometimes, man.
I had it all, 'cause I had you. I fucked it up. I wish I knew that this is hell that I put you through. I told you that I tried, but that wasn't true. I'm filthy, but coming clean. Made myself sick, yeah, it's a disease. No, I don't want no sympathy, and now I'm just a memory. Drink to numb the pain till I'm sober. Sleep until this bad dream is over.
New album is called Omen, out September 28th. What led you to choose that as the title of the record?
It felt the most appropriate because the way that the story kind of plays out is like, it's a warning. It's the whole mantra of like, if what we know now we could teach our younger selves, would you do it? And, you know, try to alter like where you're at, or do you have to simply just go through a series of life events, whether they be good or bad, to get to where you kind of really need to be to learn the lessons that you need to. And it just felt powerful. It felt like it conveyed the frustration, the emotion, the kind of struggle that we had in evolving the band in the first place. And we just wanted something, you know, kind of simple, powerful, one word. And then once we could kind of get that figured out, the rest of the record kind of fell into place. The last, you know, a little behind the curtain, it's like the last few songs that we wrote were Cut Me Open and Sober. It's like two of the best songs that we, I think, have put out recently. But again, tying back with the theme of the record, it's like, it always goes with the foundation of what the band stands for, even from back, you know, in the early days of, you do want to become better. You want to not let yourself down or let other people down in your life. And it's just like, okay, sometimes that's not possible though. Sometimes you have to talk about like the steps of how you're getting to where you're at currently. And this just felt like the next, you know, logical progression from what we were doing on What Defines You.
Yeah. With songs like Anxiety, Sober, you know, Cannibals, Sinner on this record, like that theme, did that come out of COVID and just like exploring these feelings and just like looking back and moving forward?
Some of it was COVID, but some of it also was just a matter of when, and this is going to sound weird, but it's like, I would say we're not very rock star minded people sometimes. Like, we still feel like a bunch of dudes that do play music that do have somewhat of a platform, but it's like being more comfortable with having people look to you for things, or just not even necessarily like spotlight per se, but it's like, what's the thing that connects, you know, me or anybody else to like the artist that I grew up, you know, idolizing and loving, wanting to be like. And it's like the lyrics, the connection, the stories where it's like, you think they're kind of mundane when people are like, oh, this so-and-so had a problem with this, or they were bullied, or what. It's like, those are hard things to talk about. Those are things that a lot of people, most normal people, shut down and try to either ignore, they try to mask. And to be brave enough to share that with people that you don't know on the internet, in the world, to put that in the song form, I still commend people every day for doing it. Yeah. And doing it to a degree where it's like, it's that vulnerable and visceral. And it's like, that was the fiber right there where it's like, hey, we didn't know if music was going to come back, live music, music in any form. And not that we were holding back on any other record, because I don't think we were. It's just sometimes you just don't know how to fully articulate yourself. And with some of our older music too, it's like, you know, it's a lot of riffs, it's a lot of space being eaten up that takes your attention. And while you can have like crazy technical music that does mean something, it's almost like we wanted the music in some ways to kind of get out of the way of the lyrics, like the human element that we kind of had been missing the whole time. Like, so that was, you know, definitely a focus of like, okay, we want these stories to connect. They have to, you know, come from a real place. They have to mean something to us first. And it's like, hey, for me to share stories about my, you know, sobriety over the years, or Tyler, having, issues with depression and anxiety and, some of his like substance issues, Mike the same way. It's like, these are things that we may not have shared in the past, but we'd have the opportunity to share them now. So, what better way than just, get them on wax, talk to each other, be uncomfortable. Cause there were some things, I mean, it's not like it was, this was easy to do. It was like, there were arguments, there were things that you're going to learn about your friends along the way that you're like, wow, didn't catch that one, or we've never talked about this. And it's like, well, hey, that's why your friends are your friends. You're always going to learn something from them if you pay attention closely.
Yeah. How'd you guys connect with Rory to do the final track on the album?
I believe so. We kind of involuntarily been following him around because so both the record that Dayseeker did before Sleep Talk, they worked with a Michigan guy named Josh Schroeder on their record, and then we also went to him for What Defines You during that time. So they had kind of like a loose relationship. We had been fans of Dayseeker at the time, and it just kind of mattered like throughout the years. They went on to do bigger and better things. I think we're starting to do some awesome stuff. We have the same mix engineer, Dan Bronstein, now, and we just kind of threw a Hail Mary out there to him and their camp, and they were receptive to the song, which is always great. I feel like that first and foremost, it's like there's like, always little levels of validation, just, as you're going, and it's like, oh, to see like a, I don't know if I can call him a peer or just like a, fellow band.
Yeah.
Because musicians are so fickle and hard to please sometimes.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And, he was like, hey, I dig the song. Let's, hammer out the details and then work it out to where it made that one, I think, very special.
Nice. Album is out at the end of September. What's the rest of this year look like for you?
So in about a week, we'll be back in Europe with Being as an Ocean and a band called Senna. Swallowed by the Earth tour for about a month, from the 15th of August to the 18th of September. After that, we're gonna announce some shows stateside, some additional shows. We have our our Omen album release shows in Michigan, October 6th in Detroit, October 7th here in Lansing, and then from there, like I said, we have some more tour dates coming after that. But plan is just to be busy. September 29th, Omen out everywhere. We got some songs already released from it, but I can't wait for everybody to actually be able to sit there and like fully digest the whole thing at once, man. It's like, singles, they are important, especially nowadays, because you're competing with the attention span of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Threads and so many different things. Yeah. So the fact that people do care enough to, follow us and want us to actually put out a full body of work, it means the world. So
yeah. It seems like it was probably happening already, but especially since COVID, like the importance of like singles 5-6 months out before the record, and like every month having a video out there, it's like it's so important to the promotional campaign these days.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, when you learn like, hey, a person is probably going to consume music at the same rate. Like if you put out 10 songs, you probably could have saved those and just sprinkled them out versus putting out like 1 or 2. Because the moment that person probably listens to those 10 songs, it's like, it's not even like a bad thing to ask. It's like, did I ask for these 10 songs or did you just give them to me?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's like the harsh truth of like, I don't want to say like nobody's checking for like a whole record, but it's like, you don't want to put all that time and energy into putting out a full length that, if you truly care about what you're doing, might not get the full love it deserves unless you sprinkle it out.
Yeah.
Maybe Sinner and whatever it is doesn't do what it does if we just gave, 5 songs away immediately. It's like, it's hard to get that feeling of like wanting, especially it's like if you do have something that's special, it's like just strategically plan it out. It's going to be hard. I mean, shit, we got music that's coming out still from 2020.
Yeah.
COVID took a lot. It took a lot out of everybody, but at the same time, it's like we were busy.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, we have the record, we have this, we got beyond more stuff. So it's like, this is just the tip of the iceberg right here.
Don't call me a disgrace. Now cry my mistakes. Show me there's a way that's not over. If I wake up sober. If I wake up sober. If I wake up sober. Now I'm just a memory.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never thought